Hello and welcome to the Success with Savita podcast, where we share hot tips on how to do life and business without losing your mind. I'm your host, Savita Nanjappa, entrepreneur, high-achieving 9-to-5er turned transformational success coach, helping you create a wildly successful business. Come hang out with me and other fabulous humans like you every week for stories and chats packed with a healthy dose of tips, resources, how-tos, and real talk. Side effects may include a happier and more confident you with each passing day. Thank you for joining me on the podcast today on this International Women's Day. To all the women who are tuning in, I want to wish you a very happy International Women's Day, a very happy year ahead, and more power to you all. I want to introduce my guests for today, two sisters, co-founders, and for the first time on the podcast, I'm interviewing two guests at the same time. It wasn't as challenging as I thought it would be. And as always, I would like to first introduce them before we get straight into the conversation. The Bhattacharya sisters, they are both creators, problem solvers, and nature lovers. They say, we have very different personalities and are on our own adventures, but can't think of anyone more compatible to be building this with. They are co-founders and manage different parts of India Hemp and Co. from Bangalore and Barcelona. Meet Jayanti. She has worked in advertising for a while at O&M with the best brand one could ask for at the time, Hutchison Essar, or Hutch, later came to be known as Vodafone. She did her master's in advertising and marketing from the University of Leeds and has run a couple of businesses in the food and beverage industry and in retail, all based out of Bangalore. She has a growing family, a very supportive partner, 2 kids, and animals, a dog and 2 rabbits who often feature in their videos. As a family, they love to camp out and somehow always find the time to disconnect with a book by the river at least once a month. Meet Shalini, who started her career as an operational consultant at KPMG in Bangalore. She then went on to do her MBA in Barcelona and also made a switch to innovation consulting. She has worked with a lot of corporate clients across Europe, US, and India, including companies such as PepsiCo and Novartis, to name a few. She set up a business consulting agency in Barcelona that worked on health and wellness, education, and sustainability related projects. She lives between Bangalore and Barcelona, where she has been since the past 10 years now, where she's discovered her interest in art, especially street style art. Join me as I talk to the sisters today, including their debut on Shark Tank India. Hi, and welcome to the Success with Savita podcast. Jayanti and Shalini, I am really excited to have you both today. This is my first time having 2 guests at the same time. So I'm really excited to see how this is going to go. And of course, Shark Tank alumni here. So welcome to the podcast. And I'm grateful that you took the time out to join me today.
Thank you so much for having us. And hopefully we won't talk over each other too much because that happens.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. Don't worry. We just want to have fun. We want to hear the conversations the 2 sisters have. And diving right in, I want to go right to the start. I know that there's this story of Shalini, you having your health issues, and then that's how the story of this company started. So I would like you to start by sharing with us, why did you turn to hemp? And you could have just been a user of the product, right? When you realized that it's working for you. What made you actually start the company and the brand?
Okay, so what happened was, this was about in 2017, right? That I had a back issue. And what I realized was it was a chronic condition. It was for months, it went undiagnosed, and realized that the painkillers that they'd given me weren't really improving the condition. And so earlier, like you mentioned, it was something that came out of a personal need. So I turned to alternative medicine, and I came across CBD, which comes from the hemp plant. And so with physiotherapy and CBD, I could already see improvements. And I was going to come back to India for a couple of months. And I was wondering, okay, what are the regulations around it? Is it something that's available there for me to be able to buy off the counter? Because here it's been regulated for years now, right? So I'm based in Barcelona, just to set the context. And so when I came back, then we realized that the market was just opening up. And both Jay and I are entrepreneurs. We come from a family of entrepreneurs as well. So it's like, okay, there's something interesting here. I can see the benefits, and I think it can benefit a lot more people. So kind of pitched the idea to the family, and Jay was on board immediately. And I think it more so because it connected with us. We saw the results it had, So that's kind of driven our vision and motivation to start the company.
Mm-hmm. And when you shared this with Jayanti, you jumped on board immediately. What was your, while you'd seen it very closely have this impact on Shalini, what made you just get fully on board with this?
So, okay, Savita, thank you for having us, and love to share our story with you on your wonderful podcast. So basically, again, Shalini is my younger sister and also my co-founder. I think what happened is I saw her in that pain when she came to Bangalore, and it was a really difficult time for all of us because there's nothing we could do. And, we grew up with different sort of medicines and stuff, and we tried everything. Nothing really helped her. So I feel that there was the sense of helplessness that, after coming to India, after trying out medicines, nothing helped, and different specialists, nothing helped. So, when she went back, we were all actually worried for her because she lived alone there. And we said, listen, what are you going to go back and do? Who's going to be your support system there? And she found this medicine, which was hemp-based. And that, I think, that itself was convincing enough because, she found something herself, and Shalini is a very thorough person. So she wouldn't just buy any off the counter. And then when she did research into it, and she said, this is hemp and it actually grows in our backyard. So coming back to how we grew up, we actually grew up, our parents have always been outdoorsy people. We've done forests. Every holiday was a different forest. So it came very like almost like second skin. We said, you know what? It's in the Himalayas. Let's go. Let's try and figure out what this is about and what else this plant has to offer. So I think it was just, there was this pain point that needed to be addressed, and it was easy to source from. So it just came whole circle to us very, very quickly. And we acted on it. We acted on it really fast. And in 2019, in November, we officially launched the company.
Wow. Really close to the pandemic beginning. So I'm sure that had some kind of an impact as well. Because 4 months down the line, November, if you officially launched, 4 months down the line was when the pandemic hit.
Yeah, that was a crazy time for us because we had just launched the company and we had our Insta page and, we were so excited about it. Mm-hmm. And suddenly, like 4 months down, when it takes a while to sort of get a new company started, registering it and stuff. It was like the world stopped all of a sudden. Right. So a lot of our material was stuck, our packaging was stuck. But I think it's also because collectively we really worked during the pandemic to sort of, when we had orders, we would deliver, we would try and figure out how, because there were people who now had that mind space, Savita, because they were, people were stuck in the situation. They were looking for, they looked into their diets, they looked around their surroundings. They were like, what are we doing to this world that it's come to this stage that everybody has to stop? So I feel like we were lucky in a weird way that we had that mind space, that we had a new product, which was a sustainable plant, which was planet friendly, which had so many uses. And that's when I think that's the attention we got at the right time. And that's how we started to grow. It was the pandemics that gave us that push.
Wow. Okay. So that's a nice outcome, I guess, from the pandemic. And I would think, yes, the early days when it just hit must have been challenging. But I want to go back to, again, still at the beginning, right? So how did you decide what's going to be your first product or first 2-3 products?
Basically wanted to work with the most nutritional part of this plant, which is the seed, right? Mm-hmm. So then when we realized that, listen, with one seed, you can actually create multiple products and there's no wastage. So we didn't want to just start selling people a whole hemp seed because that has a husk that is not as user-friendly, because it's like eating a whole seed. So what we did is we explored the different parts of the the formats of this seed that you could get, the products that you could get out of this, and we came up with 4 products. So and we actually innovated a little bit because people were a little apprehensive about hemp. So there's a trail mix that we have. It's a hemp trail mix which has a lot of familiar seeds like watermelon, sunflower, sesame, flax seeds. that people knew, and then we added hemp to it. So this we looked at as an introductory product, which still does very, very well because it's versatile. And also, I think people adopted to hemp got better because they realized that, listen, it went against a lot of the misconceptions that they had. But we did start off with 4 products because we understood how versatile you could get 4 products out of one seed, literally.
Just to add to that, we also took a very user-centered approach, right? So what we did was we had a focus group. We had a nutritionist, a health coach. We had someone who was very into fitness. We had a health newbie, and we presented the products as well as the options, and to get some feedback on it. And these were the 4 that did really well. So I think we also tested it with the market in terms of qualitative research.
Yeah.
And from the business perspective, we did a bit of market sizing as well to understand what the potential of each of these are. And I can share the numbers with you if you're interested. But all of them had, like, for example, the hemp oil, right? The estimated growth rate is about 36%, and it's going to be, the global market size is estimated to be about 1.26 billion.
Wow.
For the plant protein, it's about 565 million. That's mainly the Indian market size. The nuts and seeds market size, again, for India is about 2.4 billion. And the hemp heart, or hemp in general, industrial hemp, is about 5.3 billion.
Okay. I mean, that's like so much potential right out there for you.
Exactly.
I was going to ask you about market research, and I was going to ask you, wasn't it challenging in the beginning to educate people about the value that hemp brings? Because the Indian word is bhang. So was that a challenge? How did you get through the early phases of letting people know about the product?
So I have an interesting story here, because I feel like through this one anecdote, you'll realize how far we've grown. So for us, our biggest challenge was to pretty much re-educate people, right? People had all these misconceptions, and the biggest one was, will I get high, right? So during the first lockdown, when we just went into a lockdown in March, I had so many people calling me saying that, hi, listen, I'm looking for 1 kilo. Do I have to order it from the website? Can't I just come to your address and pick it up? And I kept wondering why. And I said, no, it helps with our orders to, figure out transportation and things like that. We'll need you to register on the website. And then I realized that these calls were very, very frequent and like really late into the evening. Then once I asked this person, a Bangalore guy, I said, listen, what do you think I'm selling? He's like, you're selling weed, right? I said, no, I'm not selling weed. I'm selling hemp, and I went into details of what it was. And then very sweetly, he was like, okay, I'll buy a box for my mother, So I feel like that was our first pandemic, and then the second time we went to a lockdown, I had only one call from a guy in a market, and he wanted 2 kgs of weed. And I was like, no, man, I'm not selling weed. So then I feel like at least we made a breakthrough somewhere,
Yeah.
through this. So.
That's so interesting. And I mean, I can totally imagine you getting these kind of questions, right? Because that's the whole thing, because it's so new and you have to spend that time and effort letting people know. And people don't do the research. They're like, probably search something and the company popped up. The SEO was good. So awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now, moving on. I know that we spoke about the pandemic having been some of the challenges that you faced at the start, but have those challenges changed today? What are some challenges that you face today, now that we are about 2 years in?
I think awareness and education is something that is a mammoth task. And Savita, like you mentioned, actually hemp is not very new. It's been a part of our culture for thousands of years. It's only it's named as one of the 5 sacred plants in our Rig Vedas, etc. So what has happened is, I think, more in 1980s, where there was a ban, and this was globally and politically driven. But yeah, it's not something new. So a lot of our challenge from the marketing and communication team is more the re-education, to be able to have these conversations, to clarify the doubts regarding it. But on a more business level, I think it's about making sure there's enough supply, and all these are regulatory changes. So whether it's in India or internationally, we are seeing things shift. We are, for example, the WHO appealed to the UN. This was in 2020 December, to declassify cannabis as a Class A drug, and they have done that. So now what that means for us as a business and as the industry is that there's more free trade, and each country can have its own rules regarding hemp. So so those are interesting things that are happening, but of course, change takes time, and we need to be a bit patient with it. But yeah, over to you, Jay. You were talking. You wanted to add something.
Okay, so a few of the challenges that we face is that supply. You know, what's happening is now that FSSAI has regulated hemp, right? So, but staying allowed to grow only in state. So there is a problem with the supply of the hemp seeds because there's a lot of hoarding nowadays, and it's a very seasonal. So we really hope that many other governments, many other state governments would go proactive and try and regulate hemp cultivation, hemp farming, because it is a brilliant crop, Savita, and it actually is so good for farmers because they can grow it between their crop cycles, and it regenerates the soil, it adds additional income, you know, and this crop from a seed to an entire plant grows in 4 months, you know. So it's just, it can really, really help farmers also lead a better life. And we have farmers calling us from Andhra Pradesh. We have farmers calling us from Kerala saying that, or even Karnataka, saying that, listen, I want to grow hemp. Can I grow hemp? Will you buy from me? But it always stops because it's something that the state governments need to decide for themselves. And I feel these are the things that all of us in the hemp industry continuously push. The change in governance, you know, about the change in regulation to find out if this can be more of a mainstream product.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's coming, and sometimes it can't come fast enough. And sometimes, you know, it's about having that patience while you're dealing with this. So what is one thing that you wish you knew when you started the business?
Okay. One is how to pace ourselves, right, as professionals and business owners, because there's always an endless list of things to do. So how to pace ourselves. So I think both of us have burnt out at some point, because it's just, you know, like suddenly it becomes sometimes. Sorry?
I said multiple times, like every 6 months, like, okay, we're done.
Yeah, we're trying to get better with that.
Okay.
Also, yeah, I think so many learnings along the way about how to be good leaders, about how to keep the team inspired, about how to have, you know, maintain that focus of both the day-to-day and like in the details, as well as the macro level focus, which you tend to lose sometimes. Sure. So I think between the both of us, we kind of bring that balance to each other and the company as well.
Yeah, I think having...
And also, Savita.
Yeah.
Sorry, Savita, also, if you look at the timing that we started a company, we literally started a company before a lockdown. There were 2 lockdowns, so the world effectively stopped twice, you know.
Yeah.
So even for us, I think the focus on mental health, the focus on balance, because you're running a company, right? There are things, there are bills that need to be paid, there are deliveries that need to be made. So I thought this is something that we both prioritized because it was easy to go either way, you know. So we really prioritized our mental health, and there were days that, you know, we just pick each other up. Another really, I think it came like a gift to us was the fact that during the pandemic, the first pandemic, we had applied to IIMB NSRL cell for you know, to be part of the incubation program, and 11,500 people actually applied all India. IIMB had never seen these numbers, and we're now in top 10, you know, because it has been a long journey. It's been a lot of learning, but it has been incredible because I feel most startups, when you're at this stage, you need a mentor, you need a vision, you need that slightly extra padding from other people who have those skill sets, right? So to not make the same mistake. So to us, I think IIMB came like a gift at the right time because we still have a mentor, we still are incubated. It's just, we know that they have our back, you know. So I feel we made lesser mistakes than we could have also because we kept learning on the side. We were still doing courses, you know. So it's not like we just were 2 entrepreneurs. We were still studying. We are still studying. We're still doing courses with IIMB. So it's still it's endless because everything has changed. Like the way you market during the pandemic has changed.
Right.
So it's nothing that has been, the 2 years have just changed.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. And I think, yes, it's so true. The takeaways are, yes, to have a mentor, to have that community, to have the support system. And that has helped. And I think I also hearing you both talk, I think having each other has been really useful. Sometimes people are solopreneurs, and having two co-founders, I think, has helped you versus, a lot of places it sometimes hinders the business. So I think that's something that I'm hearing both of you share. I want to talk to you about brand. Okay. I know, Shalini, you handle marketing strategy and brand, I think, but tell me about building the brand, because I see your product beautifully packaged, beautifully designed. Um, what was your marketing strategy in terms of, I know in the pandemic it would have been different, but how did you approach brand building?
Sure. So I think there were a couple of limitations that we're working with, right? So, for example, whether it was not being able to advertise or whether it was having a small team, tight budget, it forced us to be creative. And thankfully, that's something that both of us really enjoy doing, being creative. So firstly, like one of the challenges we had was when compared to the other brands in the market, this is like before there was a surge in the brands that came in. Hemp was spoken about still very shadily, lack of a better word.
Okay, sure.
There was no, there was no, which added to the confusion of it. Both the leaves look same. So I'm talking about the difference between the hemp plant and the marijuana plant. They both are a part of the cannabis family, but they are very similar looking plants. One's industrial hemp that has over 25,000 uses, and the other can be used recreationally, right? So we were talking about a much broader topic. So what we decided to do is to build trust and put our faces, be the people accountable for the quality of the product, and put our faces there, build that trust directly with the customer, right? So that was one of the strategies we had. The other is we had limitations on ads, again, because policies across Instagram and Facebook especially, they keep changing and going through manual reviews because of the same thing, the confusion between cannabis, between marijuana and hemp. So we had to rely on content. We said, okay, we're not going to be heavily reliant on ads. So we came up with our own storylines and heavily focused on content-driven marketing, especially in a video format. I'm not sure if you've seen them, but we have a lot of videos up on our website, which is indiahempandco.com, as well as on Instagram, which is at indiahempandco. And this is something we continuously do. We've had to adapt to Reels or however we do, but video is our primary format currently. The other thing we consciously did was focus on building the community first, right? So instead of just selling product, any interaction we had, we tried to add value. So whether it's through recipe cards, through education, through supporting other brands. And I think that's seen us a long, long way. So regardless of whether we could advertise or not, we had people who supported us and who believed in the product, who told their friends, and their friends told their friends. And that's how we've kind of grown our page. We're close to about 10,000. Hopefully this month we'll hit that. Yeah, I think it's been a community and user first focus. And again, business model wise, it's been our primary focus again is D2C. So directly from our website to customers, that's how we initially started. Because our strategy earlier was also to be like, okay, if you don't know about him, maybe you need to experience it. So we were in a lot of farmers markets. We were in a lot of fitness events where people could come sample the products. But the pandemic had other plans for us.
Sure.
So we had to quickly adapt. And then I was like, okay, so how can we share this experience, the hemp experience online? And how can we tell stories of it in a creative way that people can relate to? And that's kind of been our overall strategy so far.
Okay. And I think it's working. Also, because from everything that you're sharing, that's how word of mouth is how you got your early customers.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Savita, I just want to add to a little bit about what Shalini talked about. Shalini also comes from a design and innovation background, which is something that is very, very big in Europe, where everything that they look at, it has a very aesthetic angle to it. I feel in India, we are still more driven on the cost of packaging, the cost of paper. We're still not very creative about packaging, right? So I think it really worked that Shalini had a lot of contribution in terms of the design, the feel, the packaging of this, which came from that European background that she has for the last 10 years and that experience. I feel that also really helped. And also our packaging is sustainable. So that hit home with a lot of people initially as well, where people said, it's not coming out of a Ziploc. It's not coming out of something that is a single use packet. Is something I can actually reuse. Right now on my table, I have a Hemp box which has pens in it, So this thing can be reused multiple times and it can be recycled. So there's a lot of thought that we put into the product. And that's how I think our initial customers also understood and saw that. And then it was word of mouth.
Yeah, I agree. I that's the first thing that I noticed about your product. It's beautifully designed, well packaged, which will make me want to say, okay, hey, there's something to this. Versus if it was like you said in a Ziploc pouch, I'd be like, no, I don't know what's inside, and I'm not going to buy this. So I think beautifully done and presented brand, I must say. What's been a defining moment in your business that really stands out for you? Either one of you can share, of course.
Okay. Maybe I'll go first, and sister, if you'd like to add anything, you can. Also, I can't take complete credit for the packaging. I think Jay had a lot to contribute to it in terms of finding that right balance. I think we had the idea, but the execution was completely Jay. So I'm going to share the credit with you there. So in terms of, I think both of us also have come from media backgrounds. Like we've worked with different media organizations. So I think for us, defining moment is being recognized and being like Hemp being given the platform by mainstream media. That's been something that's always exciting, and it's more because it supports the long-term impact of our vision, to have a more sustainable future, because this crop is not just a food. You can use it for clothing, you can use it for construction. It's an alternative to fuel. Right now, we're at the tip of the iceberg with starting with the seed, because that's the part that's been regulated. So it started off with, I think, being covered by maybe like smaller online outlets, but then we were in Forbes and Your Story, Times of India, Deccan, Indian Express. And each time this happens, we get more people coming to us, whether they buy or not, but they're curious. They're more aware of the plant. They're more aware that there is an alternative. They're more aware about nutrition. And that's a huge, huge thing for us, because that's what, like I mentioned, was one of our key challenges earlier, right? Which continues to be, but being given the platform and being having media carry it, as well as Shark Tank. Sorry, I missed that. That's a big one for us as well. But having Hemp be given that the spotlight and platform makes our jobs a lot easier and more, I think, recognized as well. So those are things that we also see impact our sales and the business, as well as the teams. Inspiration and excitement towards work. So sure. Those are times that have been important for us.
Sure. Jayanti?
Also, Savita, So Savita, I think with here, if we look at a defining moment in our business, it was validation. I feel we played an instrumental role in actually creating a new sector. This is a sector that doesn't exist, right? There is no formal body for this. There is no governance. There is nothing. It's not like coffee board. It is very, very fluid. It's difficult to get into because of all the misconceptions. So I feel in the last 2 years, right? So because like Shalini said, from when we started to addressing every issue, putting our face on the brand, this is something both of us don't usually do. We both shy away from media usually, but then we realize that it needs to be relatable, right? If you're selling hemp, we need, even the name of our company, we wanted to say Hemp, right? We wanted to have it out there so that we weren't disguising it with something. So I feel like the media, in terms of the serious newspaper coverage that we've got, because even for them to run a story on hemp shows that the industry is changing, right? So they're the ones who actually get masses to read, and once something's printed, everybody believes it. So I feel that, it started off with Your Story was a big game changer for us, but we've never paid for any PR. It's always been sort of inbound, and we're very thankful for that, because it's that support, like even what you're doing today is giving us a platform to talk about this wonderful plant and to spread the awareness.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. Stay tuned as we take a quick break, and we'll see you on the other side of the show. Awesome. I love it. I love being part of the brand, of all the brand's growth, right? And putting it out to newer people. I think I was going to come to this question anyway. So it's time to talk about the elephant, or rather the shark in the room. So how was your experience on Shark Tank? I do have to say that I did watch it today. Always do as part of research, of course. But I thought you really stood out on the show. Tell me about your experience on Shark Tank, getting in, and then, of course, being on camera and pitching.
So Shark Tank was surreal. Sometimes I don't even believe it happened. It was so fast. So the thing is, there were 62,000 applicants that applied to Shark Tank, and 198 of us made the cut, out of which they have only aired 117 people. So, we were really lucky because it was very touch and go for us, in the sense that we weren't even sure if Sony would air Hemp. It's still in the gray area. Like I said, for us, each little milestone is that seeing it in the newspaper, seeing it on your story, seeing it, each one is like a little building block for us. So this was the first time actually Hemp has been aired on national TV on an entertainment channel like Sony. So the mileage it gave us was incredible in terms of, because like Shalini said, we have a lot of restrictions with Hemp. We're not allowed to advertise on Instagram. We're not allowed to advertise on Facebook. And even Google Ads every now and then keeps pulling down the ads. So today, if I want to get in touch with Chhattisgarh, how am I going to do it? How am I going to reach them when I'm not allowed to, not allowed to say, okay, I want to reach this section, this area, which you can do. So for us, it was really, really a great platform, only because it gave us that sort of reach that it, and now they're airing it in multiple languages. It's amazing. I'm so glad Shark Tank happened to us, and the time it did was also because November was when FSSAI changed their ruling. FSSAI is our food governance body, and they actually looked at it and said, now hemp is a food. They changed it completely, right? So even though the Shark Tank team was shooting for, I think, I was the second last weekend of shooting. The luck we had at that weekend was amazing, because I wouldn't have known about the FSSAI if it was in October or September, which is when the shoots were happening. But it was an incredible experience. It's an experience we really had to dig deep. Because of the pandemic, Shalini couldn't come down at that time, so I had to do this by myself. But we spent a good 3-4 days just number crunching, because with Shark Tank, you need to know your numbers at the tip of your fingers, and you need to be thorough with it, right? Because you can't just give them assumptions, and because when they do a due diligence, you won't be aired, or, so for us, we wanted a platform, to be very honest. We wanted a platform where we could talk about hemp, talk about the benefits of hemp, and the entire experience. The Shark Tank team is an amazing, very, very professional. Some of the women I met, incredible. The hours they work is just, hats off to them. They were always on their feet, training different teams. So it was a little surreal for us because we don't speak Hindi since we're from the South. So that was one thing that we had to, because Shark Tank said that this is Sony and this is largely a Hindi channel. So that is something that I feel like it's just mind over matter. A lot of this is, when you say you can do something when you want it so bad. So that was our experience. And also the whole episode was around, the entire shoot for me was around 90 minutes. And I think what you guys saw was 13 minutes of it. So there's a lot of information that was shared, and again, even with Sony, they didn't air everything, because we did talk a lot about the medicinal aspect of it, which is still in a gray area. So I think they chose not to air that part of it, but they did air the basic things about the protein, the fiber, the amino acids, which has helped a lot of people, because we can see that traction coming back. So it's like going full circle now. Now people are mailing us saying, I need more protein. Can I use this? What is this? It's just more conversations that have happened, and more sales. We've grown by 200%. And we've also had investors from Australia, Sudan, the US, Spain, of course. I mean, a lot of people reach out to us, plus Indian investors. I think it's also because we were offered a deal on Shark Tank, which we declined because it was on a lesser valuation.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Savita, to be honest, this is an upcoming industry. So if I had said yes to a lower valuation, it would have, the other industry, it would have affected everybody in the industry, to be honest.
Okay.
So so that's why we had to decline it. But it was an amazing experience.
I was going to ask you, was it difficult to decline? Because here you are on the national stage and you're declining. So I get, thank you for sharing the background to why you did decline. But I think it was a fantastic platform. And if you've grown to 100% and you're getting so much interest, I think that's the best outcome for any brand. And it pays to be on Shark Tank.
True. I definitely think if people who are also listening to this podcast do have an idea about something, sometimes you just have an idea that you think it's great, but you just don't have the courage to see it, to finish it. This is just at some stage, it's amazing when you do it, because people who had a concept also got funded, right? It wasn't only D2C brands, but when we were given the offer, I went out, I spoke to Shalini, we spoke to our mentor. Three of us actually decided that it didn't work. So I didn't decline it myself, but it was a collective, discussion that I had. Also, it is very, very easy, when you're standing there with all that makeup in your hair and those lights in a golden stage. Everyone's attention is on you. Sorry, I said the cameras are on you. It's just that moment with the music, and you just want to say, yeah, I'll take the deal. But I feel we had to really think about. We have a current investor who's from Singapore, who is in the carbon credit business. So we had to think about a lot of things, and again think about our colleagues in the industry as well. So that's one of the main reasons we said no.
Also, Savita, we've been in this process for, we're looking for funding, but we're looking for funding with the right partners, people who can open doors and add value to us. So we've already, have our deck ready. We've been pitching to people. So we kind of knew what the market valued us at. And Namita, I think is certainly a very good value addition, but the valuation that we got on the show that day was something that was way below what the market had also valued us at. So it was a pretty informed decision because we'd been in this process for a few months as well. So, yeah.
Oh, sure. Okay, hard, but yeah, I mean, yeah, go ahead, Jayanti.
I said Namita is a force. Namita has such a presence. She has such great energy about her, because when you're standing there and you can read each person in the room, right? You're literally, there's a huge golden peacock which was carved on the floor, and we're standing at its feet. That was our point. So I mean, she's powerful. She was so amazing she was right across me, and I really admire her. I admire for the things she stood up for me. She was, she drove a lot of points home. And we both would really love to work with her at some point, because I just think she's a fantastic person, she's just really, she checks all boxes. So it would be amazing.
I think it comes across. Yeah, it does come across on the show as well. So yeah, okay. Thank you. That's like, I can imagine this is a lifetime memory for you and will always be part of the story of the brand. And then going on from there, so what do you do when the chips are down, when you have a bad month or quarter? How do you pick yourself up?
So we have our regular team meetings. We're constantly in touch, right, with the team and between Jay and me. And we understand, like with business, we see the patterns now, right? So earlier, I think it would shake us up quite a bit in case, say for a couple of weeks, the sales were down. But we realized that business as well as, business especially works with ebbs and flows, So we rely on processes. We're like, okay, we know what we need to do regardless. So we focus on the doing rather than the outcome completely. Unless the outcome is way off, then we reevaluate our strategy and see how we can adapt to it. But the idea is to focus on your day-to-day and to keep that going, to keep that consistent, and to keep the team energized and inspired, So I think that's what we do, and we have both. So we set clear goals and we have reflection exercises also to see how things are going and adapt as and when we go. So we don't let it affect us too much. When things go super well or when things go really badly, we try to maintain our balance, to stay grounded.
Okay, great.
I'd also like to answer this
Sure.
question. So basically, what do we do when the chips are down and when we have a bad month? So Shalini is like the calm to my storm, okay? Because I'm usually high energy. Like even now, I'm on my third cup of espresso, so it's generally high energy, high emotions, everything. So Shalini is very calm. She's very collected. She does her yoga and her meditation. So she's the balance in this, where sometimes they're like, oh, we haven't hit our target. We haven't. She's like, it's okay. This is pattern. This happens. I feel like that's also because of our sisterly bonds that we have. This is who we are as people. And so it's easier for us to understand that and work with each other's strengths more than the weaknesses. So I feel she plays such a strong role in actually taking this entire team forward, even when things are low, always finding a silver lining, always motivating everybody, never being bogged down by the small things. That's all, Sharon. That's hats off.
Wow, okay. Wow, this is like
you didn't know that?
Wow, sister, this is
it could also be my coffee talking.
What are some key metrics you measure in your business? I know it's different for different businesses, but the reason I ask this question is because we are a business podcast and we have a ton of early stage listeners, early stage entrepreneurs who are listeners on this podcast. And often one of the gaps that we find in people who are in the early days of business is not measuring any metrics or measuring some metrics. So I wanted to ask you, in your business currently, what are some key metrics that you measure?
Sure, I'll take this one. So Savita, we, like Jay mentioned, we're a part of the accelerator program as well. And I think that was something that earlier, a lot of it was to be focused on sales as metrics. But now we have gone a bit deeper, taken things a little bit deeper. And we have 5 key areas, 5 key business goals, right? And these can be everything from, for example, one of our goals is to delight customers, right? So then for that, like the customer feedback we get, the NPS metrics is one. The retention rate is one. How much time it takes to respond to a customer query, those are metrics we measure. Besides that, we also have our sales metrics, right? So basically across the funnel, each level, what are the numbers across it in our conversion rates, and whether it's digital or offline, these are things that we've begun tracking now. Also, the number of marketplaces we get on. So for example, this month, we're looking at getting into chain stores, as well as things like Big Basket, Amazon. We're talking to people, we're talking to them as well. So basically the impact that we can in terms of our distribution and making sure it's aligned with our strategy. So those are some. We have some that are based on innovation. We realize that we need to be an innovative company. And that's something that we both enjoy doing. And that's how we differentiate ourselves as well. So, for example, we came up with a pet line, and that's something that no one else had done in the industry. So these come through, okay, we know we need to, at any point of time, we'll be exploring 4 to 5 different innovations and then bring it down to a funnel and to get one to market. So through that and through a lot of conversations, so each of them, each of our 5 areas have different metrics that we measure. And the phase we are in, we are still very business focused. But how I would like for us to evolve is to have a triple bottom line focus, right? To also have metrics on social variables, how to deal with the community, education, equity, for example, the impact on farmers, as well as the planet, so environmental impact. So not just looking at the business, but also expanding these metrics to the people and community as well as the planet. Those are things that we would like to grow to start tracking as well.
Jayanti?
Also, Yeah. So we also have very clear OKRs that the entire team knows about. And I feel, Savita, to be honest, I feel a lot of this learning, a lot of how to set your KPIs, everything, a lot of it came from IIM as well, because to all the listeners who want to start something, even if you have an idea, even if you've just started or you're 3 years into your business, get into an accelerator, get into an incubation program. Yes, it'll take a couple of hours during your week, but then the amount of information, the amount of also, you have entrepreneurial toolkits nowadays that we would have never had access to, which make running a business so much easier. But that comes only if you're in the system, because a lot of the people who have these fantastic tools give accelerators, give those extra credits to companies like ours that are startups. So, and again, so much about what's happening in Startup India. What are the funding opportunities? What are the grants? There are so many things which come through an accelerator. So I would definitely recommend that to anybody listening who's.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's really important. But I also love the metrics that you've chosen. Innovation is something that not a lot of people in the early years growing businesses seem to measure. I mean, most businesses tend to add that eventually. And, I come from a deeply customer service background, always measured response rates, service levels. So it's so good to see that your business is tracking those metrics. With that, we actually kind of come towards the end of the this conversation, but I do have something that we call the rapid fire, which I'm just trying, because both of you are here and I would love to ask you guys. So who's going to go first? Who's going to go second? You all decide. And it's just quick, easy questions. And it's just fun to get to know you both better.
Sure. How about we alternate it? So whichever question, Jay, you can start, and then I'll go second, and then we can alternate it. Yeah.
Okay. I don't have many, so don't worry. I'm not putting you guys on the spot. So I'll start off this one. A quote you live by.
Oh, I love this John Lennon quote. I've always stuck on every book. Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans.
Okay, nice.
Mine is from Tim Brown, and he basically is an innovator. And this is a bit of my life philosophy as well. So it goes like this. Above all, think of life as a prototype. We can conduct experiments, make discoveries, and change our perspectives. We can look for opportunities to turn processes into projects and have tangible outcomes. We can learn how to take joy in the things we create, whether they take the form of a fleeting experience or a heirloom that will last for generations.
Wow. That's deep. That's really deep, but a beautiful quote.
I feel like I need a longer quote now. I was just like one line which I remember the top of my head.
No. Yeah, but that is deep. But I even like Jayanti, so it's fine. Moving on. The next one for you. Describe your business in one word.
Authentic.
Sustainable.
Okay, both great words. Woman entrepreneur you love. You may have already answered that, but yeah, a woman entrepreneur you love.
Shalini, your turn.
I'd say, I don't know if Namita.
Okay, you'll answer that.
Oprah Winfrey.
All right. Okay, you kind of spoke about Namita, so I was expecting Namita's name to come up anyway.
As was I, so I just wanted to make
sure. A routine or habit or a productivity hack you swear by?
Meditation. I feel Shalini introduced me to this before just after the pandemic hit us, and I feel it is something every entrepreneur needs to do. You don't realize the benefits till you do it regularly, and meditation has kept me sane and centered and calm, if I can say so myself.
Okay, Shalini.
For me, it would be power naps. I sleep when I'm stressed. I sleep when I'm happy. I sleep and I for like it's usually under 30 minutes and wake up with a fresh mind. So yeah, that's my little hack.
That's a cool one. I wasn't expecting that one to come up. And finally, the last one, I promise. What's a normal day in your life?
Wake up at 5:30, have 2 children. I pack their food, take them to the bus stop. Once they leave, I usually play football. In the morning, I have a big girls gang here, so football happens. I'm back home by 8:39. Then sort out the house, get to work. Shani and I, because we have a difference in timing, a lot of our calls happen in the evening. Then again, get back. Sometimes we have late evening calls as well. And decompress for a little with book or some mindless Netflix. And again, quality time with family. We also have a dog, 2 rabbits. It's a full house. That is by like 10 o'clock, I'm in bed just to do the whole thing again. But I enjoy my days. It's very fulfilling.
Okay. Lovely. Although I know you went through it really fast, it's okay. Shalini, you?
For me, I'm more of a night bird. So I start my day by about 8:30 or so. I like to have some me time, and you'll see how we balance each other out. So I basically live here alone. I like to go get my coffee, go to the park, play with some dogs, do a little bit of yoga. If it's a good day, I get all that done. Start with work, usually coincide with India. So have like a bunch of meetings in the beginning, take a break for lunch, cook. And these days we're in the middle of winter, so I try to have a bit of lifetime while the sun is out. So maybe go to the beach or do a little bit of reading, go to the gym. That happens in the afternoon. Come back and have another session of work. And sometimes that goes into pretty late night, depending on whether it requires creativity, thinking. Yeah, I think that's more or less it. So a little bit of time in nature, working out, and yeah, I meditate before bed without fail. So
Awesome.
that.
Thank you, you guys. That was really rapid, both of your days. I know you like really went at it, went through it fast. But
you want me to say that slower? You want me to go
No. I meant like you really like. It sounds like you cram a lot, but I'm sure. Don't worry. But my favorite question is usually this one. I love, that's why Facebook and Instagram and all of that exists, because I love hearing about other people's days, how they manage their day. And with that, we come to the end of our conversation today. Thank you so much. It's been fun having both of you on this call, and I love hearing how your business is growing. I'm going to be rooting for you, cheering for you, being a consumer, of course, buying all the products. I have just shortlisted stuff that I want to order. I have a dog as well. So, and he's been prescribed hemp for his skin allergies. So, the hemp oil. But I'm going to be consuming a lot of your product and will be cheering you on. So I wish you both the very best. I think what you're building is something that is fantastic. Such a beautifully packaged brand. And with 2 of you so bright behind the brand, I can only see it just, this industry, all of the pillars of this industry. So all the best to both of you. And thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you, Savita.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you like this episode and you want more, you can go to the show notes on my website, which is successwithsavita.com/podcast. If you like what you've heard so far, I would be grateful to you if you could leave me a 5-star review, subscribe to this podcast, and share with a friend who may find this useful. You can also follow me on my Instagram @successwithsavita and DM me any questions you may have, and I will be happy to answer them for you. Until the next episode, believe in yourself and all the best to your success.